On my third day in Belarus, the entire delegation has been instructed to meet at 9 a.m. at a restaurant in the center of Chelsea. We are having breakfast with the mayor, who wishes to meet and thank us for our participation in the delivery of humanitarian aid to his region. He explains that the aid we bring is necessary. Many families benefit from our help, and more than 2,000 children have benefited from respite in Canada. But the main thing, he says, is the friendship between our nations. Dave thanked the mayor and introduced each member of the delegation, describing who they were and how they are involved. When he got to his daughter Riley, he told a story about how he and his family began this humanitarian effort.
When she was 7, we took her and her girlfriend to Disney, a land of all material things and wonderful for a 7-year-old child. The very next week, we brought her for 10 days to Belarus, and she went from a fantasy land to a land where they didn't have running water. And at 7 years old, on the flight home, she stood up in the airplane and told us that this trip to Chelsea was the best holiday of her life. So it's a reflection to me of the warmth of your people. It's at that time when we went back to Canada as a family and decided that we would try to bring humanitarian aid.
After the reception, 10 of the delegates climbed into a large van for a trip to the evacuation zone. This is a large area, approximately 45 minutes from Chelsea, considered too contaminated for habitation. We were accompanied by a government scientist sent to explain the facts and answer our questions. Although this sign states that it is forbidden to drive or to enter this zone, the main highway through the zone was recently reopened as it is the most direct route to Moscow. The scientist explained that this is the most severely contaminated area in the Mogilev region. 20 years ago, this area contained 25 villages, 4 collective farms, schools, a hospital, and over 6,100 people. It took 3 years before they evacuated the first people, and the last man was evacuated last year, 19 years after the disaster. This was his home, one of the few buildings remaining, as most have been buried to prevent the removal of contaminated materials. Most possessions must be left behind, as anything that is taken will carry the radiation with it. It is hard to imagine having to pick up and leave without bringing anything with you. All you would have are memories of a place that no longer exists as you knew it. Even the cemeteries sit in an eerie silence, no longer receiving visitors. It is easy to see why some people want to return, or are willing to pick mushrooms in the forest. It is hard to fear a danger that you cannot see, smell, or feel. From this place of desolation and sadness, we return to Chelsea, to the concert hall, to a party for invalid children as they call it, or Day of the Angel as we call it. The Rotary Clubs have brought